Hi guys, welcome to a new video. So today we're going to look at this large cutting. Um, I did a video of it probably about 2 months ago, and I just wanted to update it again. It's kind of growing out a little bit. Probably do some structure pruning on it to kind of set it on its right path. There's a few things that I'm seeing that are wrong with it, or that I think are wrong with it. Um, and also give an update on the cutting that I took off of it right here. And in the previous video, I'll link that video down below. I took a cutting off right here. It was a pretty thick branch, and I chopped it off here and potted it up. I actually did water propagation. Also did a video on that. I'll put that down below too. But here's the actual cutting that I took off of right here. Um, so as you can see, it's growing well, but we'll update that one here in just a minute after I get done working on this bigger cutting. So, like I said, there's a few things that I'm seeing that I don't like on this, and I think we'll try to address those today. But one thing, it's really exciting, and I talk about this in a lot of my videos, why I really like this species, portulacaria afra, is how fast they grow and what you can do in just a short period of time. And just to show you how fast, like I said, this cutting was taken off about 2 months ago. So in less than ideal conditions, this is growing inside, under grow lights, temperature not ideal. It's a little cooler than I'd like, but still, this is 2 months worth of growth. And this was even set back a little bit. I mentioned also in my couple other videos where I've had an aphid problem. I think I've pretty much taken care of that issue, but this cutting had a lot of leaf drop due to that, because when I treat it, it causes some of the leaves to shrivel up and fall off. So it had that going on, but still with that, in 2 months, I've got this growth here, which is probably 3 inches or so. And I think this branch here was really short. You can see it in the video, but it's really grown out too. So I just really like how fast these things grow. Um, so speaking of this, we'll go ahead and cut this back off because we don't need that branch there. And I'll clean this off a little bit more. I was hoping that would callus a little different, but I'm going to go ahead and take that down just a little bit and let that recallus, and hopefully get that a little flatter. But I think we'll just leave it there, see what happens. So the next thing, we've got this branch down here. I've got a little wire on it just to add some movement because it was completely straight. It was sticking out like that, so I just wired it down. And I think last time I didn't really know which one of these branches I was going to use. If I wanted to kind of let it droop down and use this bottom branch, or use this top branch. But now that they've both grown out and I can see it a little better, I think I want to keep this movement down and then kind of use this as a branch, and I can wire some movement in that just to continue that that wavy motion. So I think I'll use this as the branch so we can get rid of this guy here on the bottom. You can clean that up a little bit. Wire's kind of in the way, but I'm not sure if I need that. It's kind of growing straight up. It's not hurting too much right now, so I think I'll leave it. We may get rid of it later, but so the next thing, as we move up the tree, we've got this bar branch going on, and I still think that I'm using this as kind of the front of the tree. So I just don't think this is ideal to have this bar branch here, because it could develop a thick spot on the trunk. So I think I'm going to get rid of that on this side. I'm going to keep this one just to balance out this branch. So I'll keep that one over there, and we'll get rid of this one. This might end up being pretty drastic today, just to fix some of the things that I think are wrong with this tree, but I don't think they'll ever correct themselves in the future. So I think we need to do it today. And really what it is, this is a long trunk, which is okay, but there's just not a lot of movement in it. These branches are kind of far apart, but I'm gonna try to be okay with that. But what I'm not really okay with is once it gets up here, it does taper down. It's thicker down here. It does start to taper here, but then we've got this bulge, big knuckle here, an inverse taper. So, and also as I move up the tree, you want the branches to get thinner as they move up. So this one's thick at the bottom, which is fine. This one is a little thinner. I'd like to have that a little bit thicker, maybe almost to the caliper at this, but maybe a little bit smaller since it's moving up. I'm going to let that continue to grow out to thicken this up. But then as you move up here, these two are thicker than this one. And then even as you move up the tree, this really bulges out, and this piece up here, if you can see that, is really thick. I mean, this is as thick or thicker than this down here. So I don't know that that will ever correct itself. So what I'm thinking about doing is making a cut either right above this or right below this crease here and kind of growing a new top, or another option is to cut it down here and let this branch be the new top. I'm going to lose all this growth up here, but like I said, I don't think it's ever going to correct itself. And it almost needs to be done. So I do have this branch in the back coming out. So I think first, let's go ahead and just take this top off here. And that'll make a nice new cutting. I'll either drop that in some soil or do water propagation, and kind of grow that out as a new tree. Get this stump up here, we'll take back, clean this up a little bit. So that's one option, but we still have the taper problem to where these branches are thicker than this one. I could probably catch this one up by cutting these way back and not letting too much vigor go into these. This one would probably catch up, but even at that, these are just as thick as this one down here. So it's not really ideal. So I think I'm going to go ahead and keep going and bring this down even more. I know it's a little disheartening to take this much off of a tree, but trying to think of what this is going to look like, a few years down the road, I just think it really needs to happen. And like I said, I think I'll bend this one up, and that could be the new top of the tree, like this. And this branch could even come down to fill in some of that void. I could lean this over and still use this as a branch, or I could even just take that off and kind of start over, which I might do because, again, it doesn't solve my problem of the taper to where this branch is thicker than this one. So here we go again. Let's take this guy off. And I could root that one and start a new tree as well. So we're getting, one of the benefits of doing cuts like this is you get to start new trees without going and buying new ones. So that's good. Just trimming this up, cleaning it up a little bit. You really don't need to use with branch cutters with portulacarias because they are kind of soft and fleshy, so you can get through it with just pruners. Take a look at this here. I'm sure I'll wire that today, but maybe you can kind of see the future. You know, if I get it, continue this one on up and let that be the top. This could be branches off to the right side and left side here. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. And that fixes my taper problem. And I do have this back branch back here, which is nice, and another one up above it. So get this stump up here. We'll go ahead and remove. Yeah. So until I get that bent up, I guess I could do that now. Let's go ahead and cut a piece of wire and go ahead and wire that up a little bit. So let's see. Make sure I get a piece long enough. And I've got it long enough so I can come down and anchor on this branch, because this back one's really not big enough to anchor on. So I'll just get it started here and just kind of give it a loose couple wraps. Kind of use that as the anchor, and then we'll get it started up here. Just continue on. Trying not to smash any leaves, but you'll probably knock a few off, which is fine. It's kind of unavoidable. Get it on up there, and then actually lean that forward a little bit. Yeah, I think that'll work. Go ahead and take some of this extra wire off. Yeah, even though it's kind of bare, it still, I think, improved it from what it was with that big bulge there that was just bugging me. And I think this is going to end up being a much better tree. And this branch back here will continue to grow. I'm just going to let it grow out and get pretty thick and long, and then that'll fill in some of the negative space. And I could even bring that over here to the left side to fill some of that in too. So, but that's a couple years down the road. But I think for today we've definitely improved it. There's some other bar branches and things happening up here, but since I made some pretty major cuts to it, I think I'm just going to let it kind of recover from there, and we will address the rest of that at a later date. So let me go ahead and set this one aside and bring this one up. Let me go ahead and adjust the camera angle. Zoom in a little bit on this one. Okay, hope that's a little better. So like I mentioned, this one was a cutting that I took off of that other one. So it's a cutting of a cutting, I guess. And it's been growing pretty well. And I noticed when I picked it up, it's got roots coming out of the bottom. So it's liking its new home in the soil. And if you remember, like I said, this one was one that was water propagated. So not Whopper, not Burger King, but water propagated. And so I really like the water propagation. I've mentioned it, in my propagation videos, but I really like being able to see the roots grow and how fast they grow, to see when they're ready to be put in soil. But that's just my preference. So let's kind of take a look at this to see if we want to do any pruning to kind of get it going. I've got some branches that are pretty low down here and on this side. And then I also have another set up here. Just trying to think of what I don't remember how far down the roots go, because when I plant these cuttings, I plant them deeper than they need to be just to balance the tree. So as I'm kind of moving away some of the soil, it looks like I do have quite a bit of room down there. So I can kind of take that into account as I'm thinking about trimming some of these branches, because these aren't necessarily as low as they seem to be. Before I moved that soil away, it looked like they were right on the soil, but I've got an inch or two even before the root flare. So I think I might consider these my first branches. Maybe. I could anyway, but we'll see. But like on the other cutting, I have some of the taper issues as I had, where these branches are thinner than the ones up top. So that's something to think about. Just cut this stump off here in the middle. I haven't really studied this tree, so I'm not really sure what I'm going to do to it. If anything, I may just put it back on the shelf and let it grow, but it'd be nice to maybe establish the front and then kind of get things going by doing some pruning, but I'm not really sure. Not sure what's speaking to me as the front yet. Trunk's pretty straight, so there's really not any difference as I spin it around. I could slant it. But yeah, I've got bar branches all the way up this guy, so it's got them here, got them here, got them here. This branch is pretty vigorous. It kind of comes out and then shoots towards the back, or not sure that's the back yet, but adds a little movement to it. You know, I don't know. Nothing's really speaking to me on this one yet. So I may just prune it back a little bit, take some of these shoots back and kind of let it regrow, and continue to think about it. That's what I do sometimes. I mean, because I don't want to rush something, and if really nothing is speaking to me as far as what the tree wants to do, or I don't really see a vision for it, sometimes it's best just to let it sit, and maybe I'll set it up on the shelf at a different angle or something, and as I look at it each day. One thing I do know, this branch is pointing down, so we can go ahead and get that fixed until we decide what to do with it. But I don't want to let these go too long, because then they would could develop that bulge, inverse taper that we had to fix on that other cutting. So I'll keep an eye on it. And if I do decide to do something a little more drastic to it, I will pop on here and bring you guys along to give you an update. But for today, I think we're just going to, like I said, just take some of these shoots back and let it continue to grow and thicken up. So no major styling on this one today, until I kind of decide what to do. So, all right. So with that, I think that'll do it for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.